Hey everybody, it's Allie Edwards and welcome back to December Daily 2024. This is story number 3. Today I am working off a foundation page that I shared on the blog recently. Obviously on the back of story number 2, we've got the number on there. We have a little bit of opening here. Got to deal with this ribbon. We've got a frame with a page attacher. We've got a vellum number card. And then we have the magic is something we make. This is the 10 by 8 paper that I cut down. Used a little bit of fun May Arts adhesive scalloped ribbon on there. And then the back is waiting for the next story. So thinking about this one, obviously some sort of a story about making magic, right? That magic is something that we make, and there's lots of different angles on this kind of story that I could tell. One of the most magical things, when I was closing my eyes and I was just thinking about what makes me feel the magic of the holiday season, and a lot of times it is setting something up for someone else, right? Creating some magic for someone else, or creating magic for myself. And at this time in the season, early in December, I think the most magical thing just right now, again, is related to the lights. And that's kind of, yesterday I talked about the lights as, a way to combat the darkness, right? The twinkle lights. But I think what I want to talk about today is a little bit of the tree, and I'll probably do something else that's more tree related. But I printed out 2 photos. These are 3.25 by 4.25. And I'm thinking I'm going to have one under the vellum, and I'm going to add some journaling on here. And then the other one will go on the back like this. So cutting those 2 up, adding my journaling. I think I'm going to handwrite, but maybe I'm going to type and do a sticker paper again on top of the vellum. I don't know yet. I haven't decided on that. It might be nice to just do a little bit of handwriting with a permanent pen on there. The other thing that I am going to tackle today with this is the ribbon. And if you were in our product play workshop, you saw me, I think it was that one, try to incorporate some magnets at one point in time. And I got a recommendation for some different magnets to try. These ones are a little bit bigger and a little bit flatter than the ones that I was previously using. So I want to try to do something where this is actually uses a magnet to fold over and kind of acts like a little belt or a tie on top of that. So that's the other thing that I'm going to be doing. Again, this is another like bulk reducer thing in terms of, not tying the ribbon so that there's a knot there, but still making it feel like it's something that you open, having a little interactive element for story number 3. So let's dive in. All right, so first step here was just trim out my 2 photos. Again, this is 2 3.25 by 4.25 photos. The same exact photo. One is just going to be behind the vellum journal card, and then the other one is going to be adhered to the back of that to demonstrate a little bit of magic. So here I am trying to figure out, where the placement is going to be on the back. A lot of what I was doing initially was kind of thinking, do I want to have something around the outside edge, or is just the white scalloped edge on the back enough? I thought about repeating some of that May Art scalloped ribbon. I thought about washi tape. I thought about stamping like I did on the back of the banners in my first story. There's lots of different things you could do if you wanted to have some sort of a pattern or something else on there. In the end, I just end up leaving it white, and I feel happy with that decision. So there, what I'm doing now is just trimming off those photos after I adhered them back to back. But what I did decide to do, no, this is when I forgot that I decided to do this. What I did decide to do was add washi tape as a border. So I went over to my Christmas washi tape box and looked for one, one of the thinnest ones I have. And I have a black one that says, that's a Merry Christmas one, I think, but I ended up going with this cream one. This one might be a part of a Tim Holtz washi set. I'll look and see if I can find it. Some of these are really old, that I've had them for a number of years now, and the products may not be available any longer. These are just ones from my stash. This one has a mixture of like season's greetings, Merry Christmas. Part of the reason why I liked it is because it's so neutral. Like, it's really on a cream background, but when you put it down, it almost feels white. So I looked at the black one and just decided not to do that one, but you could do whatever you wanted on here. So I did decide to do a border. Part of the reason why I'm doing a border also is that I needed, from a functional standpoint, I needed help. I needed assistance adhering the photos to the frames. So because there's not a ton of extra overlap over the back of the frame, I needed a little something else that was going to hold it in place, and that also then holds the vellum in place on the other side. So that was what I was working on there. The next step for me is dealing with the ribbon, and so I've got a couple little magnets there. This is big thanks to Lisa, I think Lisa Soares from our community. She was the one that talked to me about the specific magnets that she had. And what I'm choosing to do here is I'm using a little bit of red line tape that's going to hold one of the magnets in place, and then I'm going to fold the ribbon over and I am going to stitch it. So if you don't have access to a sewing machine, you could hand stitch this. You could also just let the double-sided adhesive do its job, which is holding all of that stuff in place, and then just trim a little edge with the ribbon. I think that should be fine. But I did take it over to the sewing machine, just ran a little stitch down along the edge there, and then I trimmed it just a tiny bit. So now I have this flat little pocket space there that has the magnet within it, and then I'm going to do the same thing for the second piece of ribbon here that's going to essentially like hug my content. So I put the magnet down just so I could see where it was. I'm going to mark it with a pen. I don't recommend using the same pen that I did there. It actually goes through, ended up going through to the other side, which is not a big deal, but you might not want that on yours. So heads up on that. But I wanted to mark it so I knew exactly where it was going to be. I'm actually going to end up doing a second piece of red line tape or a second piece of double-sided adhesive just to make that fold over a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to run this through the sewing machine as well. So I'm just doing a little second strip of the 1/4 inch red line tape on there, and where my black marks are is where the magnet is going to go. And I'll link you guys to these specific magnets that I'm using. Lisa directed me to ones, these are a little bit bigger and a little bit flatter than the ones that I was trying to use previously in one of our workshops this year and couldn't get it to work. It was actually on a different project, but it was similar in terms of what I was hoping to do. So these are really cool. These magnets are great for closures and things like that. So this is kind of my first time actually incorporating those into my project. So I'm going to peel off the second piece of red line tape there, the double-sided adhesive. I'm going to fold this over. That will hold the magnet in place. This is my second magnet so that those two magnets can stick together there. And then I am going to run that through the sewing machine. I'm going to take you over to the sewing machine so you can see just what that looks like. Right now I still have cream thread in my sewing machine, so I'm just continuing with that. I will probably switch that out for some red pretty soon, but so far the cream has worked okay. So just kind of eyeballing where this is going to go, going to stitch it in a straight line just to hold it in place, and then I do have the double-sided adhesive there as well. So lots of little steps in completing this one. This also, in case, I don't know if I said this in the beginning, but this is a foundation page that I shared on the blog, so you can see the full process video of how I put all of the different pieces together and cutting up the paper and all of those things as well. So there's a link for that. All right, so now I have a cute little, it's like a belt. Could be like a Santa belt almost. A little belt. I'm going to trim off there. Obviously you can see that this is on the outside. I could have made that on the inside, that stitching on the inside, you know, so that it went the other way. Let's see. Yeah, folded it under rather than folding it on top. So just keep that in mind as something that you could do too. It would just be folding the outside of the ribbon would go underneath so that you wouldn't see the part that I cut there. I didn't think about that while I was doing it. I'm just seeing that now. Then I decided I wanted to add something on the top. of the magnet there. I looked at adding one of the bows. That would have been fun to add. I'm actually going to end up adding one of these little stars that I cut out, not this gold star, but another gold star, which is actually cut from the 3x8 paper that is underneath the number 3 for story number 3. So I'm just going to, yeah, there you go. So those are ones I just hand cut a few of those when I was working on this foundation page so that I would have a couple if I wanted to add it in there. So I'm going to go ahead and use red line tape to adhere that down to create this little flap. Yeah, so if I was going to do it again, I would fold the ribbon under instead of folding it back. I think that makes sense. Probably makes sense when you're looking at it, which is just more like I did on the other one. I just did it kind of backwards. But this is made by hand. That's how we roll. All right, so then you can see the full little spread there. I like having those things tucked in together in that little space there. I'm going to take my Staedtler Lumo Color pen and I'm going to write Make Magic for number 3. And I'll see you guys back here tomorrow for story number 4. Happy December.